Ed. When Father Ed sent me an email requesting that I introduce him, I truly was flattered. So it is my true honor to introduce Father Ed. So this is his topic. We knew not whether we were in heaven or on earth. Young adults and their motives for joining the Byzantine Catholic Church. The vocation from St. Mary of the Assumption Byzantine Catholic Church in Trenton, New Jersey, Father Ed completed the courses of studies at St. Cyril and Methodius Byzantine Catholic Seminary in Pittsburgh, PA. He was ordained to the priesthood of Jesus Christ by Bishop Michael J. Dudick on May 8, 1988. Since his ordination, he has served in 12 parishes throughout the Eparchy of Passaic and has served in a variety of roles for the Eparchy. Upon the appointment of Archbishop William as Metropolitan of the Byzantine Ruthenian Church, Father Cimbala was elected administrator of the Byzantine Catholic Eparchy of Passaic and served until Bishop Kurt Burnett was named the 5th Bishop of Passaic. Father Ed received his primary education at St. Mary Byzantine Catholic School in Trenton, New Jersey, where he was taught by the Sisters of St. Basil the Great, for which he is eternally grateful. After graduating from Anthony High School in 1973, he attended Glassboro State College, now Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. He received a bachelor's degree in speech and theater with concentrations in marketing and communications. He also received a Doctor of Ministry degree from Pittsburgh Theological Seminary in 1996, with the foundation of his dissertation being the shared responsibility of parishioners to call forth vocations from their communities. In August 2022, he received a master's degree in organizational leadership from the University of Valley Forge, focusing on parish redevelopment. His capstone project provides the basis of his talk today. Before entering the seminary, Father Cimbala enjoyed a diverse career in the performing arts, having positions in marketing and management of theater and ballet companies and the performing arts centers. So with no further ado, Father Ed.
I've always been one that has wanted to take a chance. And would you believe it or not, this is my very first PowerPoint presentation. Usually I just talk, but I thought you might want to look at something else other than me. But I'm so excited to present on this topic. But those of you who had joined us last night for the Young Adult Roundtable, I don't want you to think that I prepared this talk after we met. But one of the things you're going to see is almost everything that was brought up in discussion with the young adults is in my presentation. And it's very great to see that because it proves that there is a consistent theme as to why young adults are joining the Byzantine Ruthenian Catholic Church. Wait, is that right? Okay. One of the things, if you remember, there was one study in 2021 and one that was just released recently. A Gallup poll revealed that the United States church membership has fallen below 50%. And Gallup attributed much of this decline to generational factors. The oldest millennials coming of age in the 21st century now represent a large segment of the nuns, but not that kind of nun that we see up there. You know, I love Sally Fields and the fine nun. But, and so we see that there are the nuns that have no religious preferences, and St. Mary's Byzantine Catholic Church in New York City has seen young adults coming to the church as reverts, individuals who have left the Byzantine Catholic Church or the Roman Catholic Church and returned, converts from Protestant denominations, catechumens, those who had no religious affiliation or tradition. Interesting, the individuals in the age range described by Jones in the study for Gallup as the most represented in the decline of religious practices are the prime group representing those who are joining the Byzantine Catholic Church. The nuns are coming to us. And what a great blessing that is. And throughout my interviews with my parishioners and through my research, we really see that there are two significant things that attract young adults, and we've heard this time and time throughout our days here, is two things: liturgy, liturgical worship, not just the divine liturgy, the spirituality of the Eastern Church, and the community that we provide, especially intergenerational community. And I see that. I've witnessed that phenomenon in New York City. And really what got me interested in doing this research was the many pastors that I've spoken with in the eparchy of Passaic, and actually throughout the United States, is that young adults are being attracted to the Ruthenian Byzantine Catholic Church throughout the United States. And it's primarily for the same reasons. We're all familiar with the story, right? We knew not whether we were in heaven and on earth. Young adult seekers can become as enthusiastic, and I've seen it time and time again, as enthusiastic about worship in the Byzantine Catholic Church as the emissaries of Prince Vladimir, who were sent throughout the world in 986 to explore different faiths. Many visitors to St. Mary's report the same experience of the liturgy as these emissaries explained. When they presented the report, they said, "Then we went to Greece, and the Greeks, including the emperor himself, led us to the edifices where they worshiped their God, and we knew not whether we were in heaven or on earth. For on earth there is no such splendor or beauty, and we are at a loss how to describe it. We only know that God dwells there among men, and their services are fairer than the ceremonies of other nations, for we cannot forget that beauty." For we cannot forget that beauty. Based on that particular event, Bishop Castellas Ware found three characteristics of Eastern Christianity. The first, emphasize the spiritual beauty, for we cannot forget the beauty. The second was that Orthodox or Eastern worship embraces two worlds at once, and we knew not whether we were in heaven or on earth. The third principle was that the rule of prayer is the rule of faith. Young adults seeking the spiritual life found in the Eastern Catholic Church resonates. They resonate with these three characteristics. You are the emissaries who have witnessed this. Several participants in my study expressed this feeling. And during the celebration of the Divine Liturgy, we all know the cherubic hymn, "Let us who mystically represent the cherubim and sing the thrice holy hymn to the life-creating Trinity, now set aside all earthly cares." And reflecting on this hymn, I'll be quoting some of my people that I've interviewed. And it might be kind of fun for you to guess who they may be, who might be here today. But of course, I've given them different names, so that's not going to make, I'm not going to make your search easy. But Robert said, "When we sing this hymn, I usually think about something dumb or stressing me out. And then I hear that, and immediately I get reminded I am not on earth right now. All that is outside is of no concern." Like this, the only thing, and it really does, draw you into that otherworldly experience. And Mary concurred. She said, "The liturgy is otherworldly." I think that's what one of the attractions that people have. The church becomes a place where you can set aside all earthly cares as we sing, and that is one of the attractions. While scholars and researchers in church hierarchy have performed extensive research into the motivations of young adults joining or converting to various Orthodox churches, the Roman Catholic Church, but there's been no real serious research on this activity in the Byzantine Ruthenian Church. No research that's been published. And my study utilizes resources produced by the Roman Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, Orthodox academies, researchers, and authors, and I've adapted them for this particular study. So what were the methods that I used in doing this study? Well, we sought to understand why young adults joined the Byzantine Catholic Church using a qualitative approach, and this approach really appeals to me because it gives me an opportunity to talk with people. So we have these interviews, wonderful interviews with so many people. And there's a wonderful book called The Eastern Church and the Spiritual Marketplace, Conversions to Orthodox Christianity. Amy Slagle is her name. Actually, somebody from the Pittsburgh area, and she used for her research many of the Orthodox churches in Pittsburgh. Her insights are foundational to my study. The questions she posed to her participants are the same questions that I posed to mine. The interviews explored the young adults' early religious lives, how they progressed or regressed over time, and I examined how they discovered or rediscovered the Byzantine Catholic Church, seeking their reactions to the Divine Liturgy, the architecture of the church building, the iconography, and the parish community. The questions moved from their initial responses to the present to determine how their appreciation of these elements had grown and moved them to commit to the Byzantine Catholic Church. And then we discussed how the church, the practice of our faith, helps them living in the world today, to live a spiritual life in the world today. That the liturgical worship of the Byzantine Church was seen as a central aspect of this journey. It was essential to explore their participation in the celebration of the Divine Liturgy. Moreover, because as we talked about the Divine Liturgy, not only was it the worship of the liturgy that was appealing and fulfilling, it was also the music of the Divine Liturgy. And so the final questions presented the opportunity, and this I thought was a very important part of my study, presented the opportunity for my participants to express their personal opinions as to why young adults were joining the Byzantine Catholic Church, and also, too, what they found lacking at St. Mary's in bringing them in to the Byzantine Catholic Church. I learned many things from these discussions. But I think to get an idea is to take a look about St. Mary's, the history of St. Mary's Church. St. Mary's was founded in New York City in 1910. I was not the founding pastor. Lower East Side of New York City in Manhattan. The founders of the church came from the former Austro-Hungarian Empire, Zakarpattia, and were Ruthenians. As the parish grew, people arrived from the old country weekly to seek a better life in America. St. Mary's experienced 3 waves of immigration. The early 1900s, before the First World War, the Dubček Spring, and then after the fall of Congress. The first 2 waves resulted in many people joining the parish, the third wave to a lesser extent. Now our neighborhood, the neighborhood of St. Mary's Church, is a highfalutin neighborhood. Really, you know, the lower East Side is in a prime region of New York City with beautiful parks, educational institutions, hospitals, and apartment complexes. In my zip code, and this is really where we need to do some work, in my zip code alone, there are 250,000 people, just in that 10003 area, 250,000 people. But the beauty of St. Mary's Parish is our parishioners do not come from just one zip code. They come from all 5 boroughs. They come from New Jersey. But it gives an idea of where we find ourselves when we look at this particular zip code. But even before the new church was constructed, there were already demographic shifts in the neighborhood. But right now, there's 250,000 people within a 30-minute walk to St. Mary's. The average income on the last U.S. Postal Service survey was $88,000. The area's demographics are comprised of young adults, very, very small number of families, very, very few children. And there are also, what's very interesting, many long-term residents of the area. And those are actually one of the great things that I have an opportunity to serve are the old people that live in the neighborhood. Not parishioners, but delightful people. There's a woman, Josephine is her name, and every morning she walks about 2 blocks from her apartment to stop, and we'll talk about this later, but the church is being an icon. She stops in front of the icon that we have of the Sacred Heart outside every single morning. This 86-year-old woman stops, and she uses a walker. She walks her 2 blocks to come to church. She prays. She sees me, asks me to give her a blessing. She then goes to the Roman Catholic Church for Divine Liturgy. She goes across the street back to her apartment, has her breakfast, and then she goes to the Y to do her water aerobics every morning. And that woman has lived in that neighborhood for 50 years. She's much more active than I am. But before the church, the construction of the new church, as I said, the demographics were shifting in that neighborhood. From a parish with hundreds of families in its heyday, St. Mary's today has about 75 registered units, and our average attendance on a Sunday post-COVID, and actually pre-COVID, when I first got to St. Mary's, I was thrilled when we would have 25 people on a Sunday morning. But post-COVID, we're now up to an average of 50 people, and most 99% of that new 50 people are young adults. And there's a cultural challenge for St. Mary's when trying to catechize the current parishioners to enable them to understand what it means to be Byzantine Catholic. And this challenge allows them to reach out to the young adults coming into the parish. As we've spoken about throughout this time, we really have focused and we recognize the fact that being Byzantine Catholic is indeed countercultural. And that's also part of our attraction. I find this countercultural identity attractive to many young adult seekers who attend the celebration of Divine Liturgy. And we need to emphasize that as parishes. So now, I'd like to introduce you to the participants of my study. Okay. First off, we have Alexandra, an actress, writer, producer, podcaster, has a BA in philosophy. She was a non-practicing, exploring Catholic. She had explored the more traditional Roman Catholic Church, and then she decided to commit to probably what was really the church of her family, and then to become a practicing Byzantine Catholic. Haley is a stay-at-home mom, okay? She has a BA in liberal arts, an MA in nonprofit management, married with 1 child, evangelical convert to Roman Catholicism, and now a practicing Byzantine Catholic. Her little boy is really an up-and-coming cantor. Seriously, if any of my parishioners can find the video of this little boy who we'll call Max singing my favorite, Menahilita, we could do that. Anthony, who's an actor, a business owner, has a BA in psychology, was engaged during this study, but is now married, and now he's a practicing Byzantine Catholic. Melissa, his now wife, 29, an actor, BA in music, theater, dance, and a lifelong Byzantine Catholic, but rediscovered and practicing her faith. Vassal, 24, educational administration, BA in philosophy, single, Protestant, convert to Byzantine Catholicism. Frank, age 25, a consultant at the time, BA in economics, philosophy, single, Episcopal convert to Byzantine Catholicism. James, the oldest one in this cohort, 46 years old, business owner, BA computer science, MA in English literature, married, and throughout his life he's been an atheist, converted to being evangelical, and now to being Byzantine Catholic. Then we have Benedict, age 25, a software engineer, BA computer science, single, and Roman Catholic. Robert, a financial analyst, BA in physics and math, engaged Roman Catholic, now practicing Byzantine Catholic. And Mary, social media marketing, some college, engaged, lifelong Byzantine Catholic. But all of these, whether they were lifelong Byzantine Catholics, practicing Roman Catholics, former evangelicals, atheists, the beauty of it is they've now committed to the Byzantine Catholic Church. So that, you can figure out who that is, I'll give you a prize. Those who are here. One of the things that we in the Byzantine Catholic Church have that I think is phenomenal is what's called in marketing service-scape marketing. And I think we as Byzantine Catholics, and I'll talk about this a little later, but we as Byzantine Catholics have wonderful opportunities of utilizing service-scape marketing because our entire church is a presentation of service-scape marketing. And what is service-scape marketing is, we see the layout and functionality of the building, symbols, signs, and artifacts, ambient conditions. You know, so that is us. Look at that church. Look at St. Mary's. It is an opportunity of service-scape marketing. So look at the church. Dedicated in 1962, designed by a Franciscan friar, and very interesting. Alexandra said in the interview, she said, I also love the aesthetic. It's a big draw for me. The artistic elements of the building visually represent the components of the faith. It's so beautiful to me. Now, it is crazy to think back to the initial negative impression it made on me. I have to share that same opinion. When I was a seminarian looking at pictures of St. Mary's Church, I would say, ew, because it wasn't, in my mind, what I thought a Byzantine Catholic Church should look like. But how about it? It's a beautiful Byzantine Catholic Church. And the beauty of it is that it's representative of its particular time. But I always like to say that St. Mary's is a sort of like a 1960s funky building with a Byzantine ethos. And it is. It is. And also, too, we look back as who was one of our parishioners at the time of the construction of the parish was Andy Warhol. So it was almost like Andy Warhol could have designed the building in a way. But it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. There's a great need for people to use our buildings as places of prayer, not only inside, but outside as well. You know, there are times, and we talked about this last night, the priest needing to be available at all times. And I have a program that I'm beginning now that I had a sign made that says this: the church is open, Father Ed is available for conversation, confession, and coffee. So all you need to do is you'll see that, and you'll be able to stop in and talk. Again, that's all part of the service-scape marking. The music of the Divine Liturgy is part of the service-scape marking. The building of St. Mary's is amazing. But then when you move to the windows really do indeed take you somewhere else. They take you to heaven. They take you to heaven. One of our participants, James, reflected during his interview. I can tell you one vivid memory from that very first liturgy. You know where I sit, right? I'm always on the right-hand side. During the winter time, January, the sun was coming in, and it came right through the resurrection icon, pretty basically through Christ, and it hid on January mornings right in my view. And as we've been learning together, like the facets of the glass make it so that they sparkle, and that's always been, I love that icon. The idea of the resurrection is my journey of faith. The visual splendor of the church was part of my first encounter with St. Mary's. It is a powerful building. It is one that we need to mark. And I forgot what I had named it. But I like the windows. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. There's nothing like them in any church in Manhattan that I've ever seen. And I not only like their color, but just like the style that they're in. I like modernism, and so like this whole church is very modernistic, and its architectural design. I immediately love the windows. I immediately love the windows. Then, of course, the other attraction, the physical part of the building. That's why our churches are so designed so well, because that is how we attract people to the church. The Divine Liturgy, of course, we all know the work of the people. James reflected during his interview his first experience of the Divine Liturgy and his reaction to the church architecture. I can tell you one vivid memory. Oh, I already read that one. Right. He sits there, enjoys the windows. One of the other things that our young adults comment so often on is the hospitality. And we as Eastern Christians love this particular icon, don't we? We love this icon, the hospitality of Abraham. The hospitality of Abraham. I use as a model for what I like in hospitality is Henry Nouwen's description of hospitality. And what I love about this is it describes what we can provide as a parish community. Hospitality means primarily the creation of a free space where the stranger can enter and become a friend instead of an enemy. Hospitality is not to change people, but to offer them the space where change can take place. It's not to bring men and women over to our side, but to offer freedom, not disturbed by dividing lines. What a philosophy that we really need to make sure that we incorporate into our parishes. The culture of hospitality. The culture of hospitality. And one of the things that Alexandra said that I think is so important, that really as new people come into the church, she said, I like that at St. Mary's I could be quiet, and the people cared about me as a person, rather than because I have a cool podcast down in downtown New York. That's the beauty of St. Mary's. Everyone here just loves people for who they are as an individual, and not what they do It's just the coolest thing for me. Hospitality. And we, as East Street Christians, do hospitality so well. We do that so well. And we need to continue to offer that. Intergenerational relationships was a very large attraction to young adults. They're attracted to intergenerational nature of our communities. In Generation X, intergenerational justice and renewal of the tradition process, Seibel and Neal say they found that older members are sometimes guided by a sincere desire to see younger generations have the same religious experiences that they find meaningful. And this is the sentiment of St. Mary's. This is the sentiment of St. Mary's. Our older people do not see the younger people as threats, but as friends. You know, the elders of our parish desire our young adults to have the same feeling of the Byzantine Catholic faith that they do. Older church members must commit to viewing new generations not as competitors, but as collaborators in shaping the tradition. John Roberto, in his book, Our Future is Intergenerational, suggested that the parish's life, the future, is intentionally intergenerational. So we need not just to let it happen, but we need to make it happen, to be intentionally intergenerational. There's power in that. The thriving parish prioritizes fostering intergenerational relationships, faith sharing, storytelling, incorporating all generations in worship. Our people do like to talk, and our people will indeed talk with everyone. One of our older parishioners, when I first got there, started seeing new people coming in. She said to me, Father Ed, is it okay if I talk to the new people who come? And I said, of course. And I said, why are you asking me that? She said, I don't want to be perceived as the crazy aunt. And she does. She talks to everyone. Yes, it is okay to talk to everyone. And we've spoken several times throughout these past few days, of course, of the music, the liturgy, the music of the liturgy. And my question to them, how does the music of the Divine Liturgy impact your worship experience? Mary responded, the communal aspect of the Byzantine Catholic Church is highlighted during the celebration of the Divine Liturgy because everyone is singing. How about that? The communal aspect is represented by the singing. Vassal said the liturgy, with all the singing, makes it a united experience together. And I think it has some psychological effects as well, benefits. Rather than have one person or a choir singing and you listening, it's good that the congregation participates in that. One of the things, a study by, I didn't write down his first name, Matone, he said this, spiritual music supported the aspect of being related not only to a higher power, but to other people. The Divine Liturgy, we sing, and it connects us with a higher power, our God, but then also to each other. And it doesn't matter how you sing. You don't need to be a Pavarotti. I remember when I was a seminarian, there are people when you travel around that you go, should that person be singing? And one of the old ladies asked me, what can we do with this guy? You know, he throws off everybody. And I said, tell him to sing louder. Tell him to sing louder. And as Haley explained, the music helps me to get out of my mind more. I don't know about other people who don't know how to sing. It's probably much more into their mind. But if they're nervous or self-conscious. But for me, singing allows me to get out of my mind, to move into another world. The functions of spiritual music seem to be related to everyday life experiences, and that music could enhance coping. This is one of the beautiful things about music that the studies have shown, that the music can enhance people's lives by helping them to cope in life as a mental resource. These aspects reflect a spiritual way of living, connected, everyday life to experience it. Now, we all know children in our parishes, not only children, but I've had people tell me that when they're coming home from church, they're singing the liturgy in their head. Or little kids are singing, people don't drive in New York, but one of my parishioners from another parish was telling me that her little girl was sitting in the back seat of the car driving home singing, Holy God, Holy God. And so, the spirituality and the prayer of our church, I asked them, how does this help you in your lives today? Robert indicated that even though he was raised Roman Catholic, once he was exposed to Byzantine spirituality, he realized that it was aligned with his personal spirituality and that it was something, and it seemed to be in him all the time. One of the things we discovered in my study is that being Byzantine Catholic was probably hidden inside of the people who come to us. They just never knew it until they arrived. And so often, and this study, of other studies that I read about people coming into liturgical churches, is that when they come in, and some of the young adults talked about this last night, is that when they come into church for the first time, what do they say? I'm home. I've discovered my home. And they stay because I'm home. Benedict says, I think in every way I am nourished by the Byzantine Catholic faith, obviously through the liturgy itself and the Eucharist, but I mean also like the little icon corner set at home. What attracted me to Eastern faith in the beginning was the theology of the icons, but having icons in my room both for prayer and as a constant reminder. I think having those icons weaves faith into my life in a very different way. Because, as you know, I wake up and it's the first thing I see. It's the first thing I see every morning, and it's the last thing I see when I go to bed. And praying with icons, Benedict says, I've noticed a significant change in how I think about relationships with people. Seek to behave with gratitude towards goodness, and especially like beauty in nature. I'm much more, I think, aware of the good in the world by praying before icons. By praying before icons. Okay, so why do young adults, why are they attracted to the Byzantine church? Liturgy and tradition. That the Byzantine church is grounded, gives them something to ground their life. It's rational. It's rational, even though we call everything mystery, it's rational because we can discover what it is. It's traditional. It's continuity. There's consistency, stability. the Eastern theology and ethos, reaction to hedonism, worship that calls to a profound faith, heaven and earth as an escape from this world. But the beauty of it is our people who come into the church realize that the liturgy may be an escape from this world, but it then nourishes them and encourages them as they go forth in peace to live in the world. These interviews gained really a great deal of information. I think one of the reasons, Robert says, I think one of the reasons why the liturgy and tradition are so attractive to people right now is because how intellectually sound they are, our liturgy and our tradition. We live in a world where very few people have any belief system because they're told that truth is relative and offensive. So many people are lost and they can't explore the depths of their intellectuality because they have no basis from which to set out and to come back. Partaking in a faith that is so grounded and rational is something that I value. So good. Where'd that go? That was a good quote, too. I just lost it on the page. Just remember, it was good. You know, and we have to be honest, that sometimes people come to us because of their reactions in the Roman Catholic Church. I think Frank explained, I think part of it, there are Roman Catholics who don't like the liturgy of their parish, and they want something a little more serious, or with something with more reverence. And I think that's one aspect of it, the liturgy. That's why he came. Benedict said, I think like people, they have, like, they're sick of being modern, the modern world. They're looking for something to be an escape, but it's also something to strengthen them. Melissa said, I think we are seeing a resurgence, and I believe that is true. We are seeing a resurgence in our Byzantine Catholic Church. And it's interesting, she says, because we certainly see that in the church with young people discovering the Byzantine Catholic Church. They come because they may be disillusioned by other faith. But they haven't lost it, but they're looking for a way to truly experience their faith life. And she says, you can pull that thread and trace that lineage so far back, and it is consistent. The Byzantine Church is consistent. One of the things that I think is so important that I've experienced with our young adults is they become new Ruthenians. They become women at the well. And I love this. Many Samaritans in that city believed in Jesus because of the woman's word when she testified, he told me everything I've ever done. So when the Samaritans came to Jesus, they asked him to stay with them, and he stayed there for 2 days. Many more believed because of his word, and then they said to the woman, we no longer believe because of what you said, for we have heard for ourselves and know that this one is truly the Savior of the world. New people coming into the church are so much more ready to invite other people to come into the church. Our older people, I've discovered, are afraid to do that. They're afraid to witness. They're getting better now. But one of the things I asked our older people at St. Mary's when we were getting an influx of new people, they said, well, I told them, I said, I know you're not going to invite people to come in. I know that. I know that's your personality. I said, but I'll invite people to come in. The new people will invite people to come in. But your responsibility is to be nice to them. And I've discovered that really where we fail in our church is people do not know what's expected of them. And as you've seen over the past few days, I have no trouble telling people what they should be doing. And I do tell people what they should be doing. But think about that. Our new people, invite. But what's next? One of the things I discovered in my research is what's next. And what do they want? More. And we've heard this time and time again this week. Our young adults want more. They do want the full liturgical cycle, matins, vespers, additional services. And they want that because they feel it's missing. And I have to admit that since my study, I haven't done as good of a job as I would like to do to give the more. But then I come to realize that maybe I'm a little impatient, that more doesn't need to be a lot, but a little bit at a time. And then it does become more, a little bit at a time. And one of the things that became really evident to me is how the young adults coming to St. Mary's, and all of the young adults that we talked to, basically want us to live the liturgical year, to live the feast days, to really live the best thing. I think one of the best things that we do at St. Mary's is people now understand more and more the cycle of the fasting and the feasting. I'm a big party guy. You'll see tonight. But the fasting leads to the feasting. And I think that's one thing we need to do more as a church, is to fast hard and to feast hard. Really. To do that cycle of the year. And as a priest, I find the cycle of the year to be so life-giving. So life-giving and so exciting. So exciting. Okay, again, a reminder of the service-scape marketing. It's so important to recognize the gift of everything we have, inside and outside. And even as a practical matter, service-scape marketing involves, and here's where the laity can really pitch in and help, but really, like as Father Tom talked about with his parish, service-scape marketing begins with your grounds. I think sometimes we're a little sloppy. I think sometimes we don't take care of the gifts that our people have given us as a church. And something simple. See a piece of paper, pick it up. How we can all be involved in keeping our church really beautiful. In conclusion, the young adults in this study have proven to be serious seekers of God, and wish to have a personal relationship with Jesus and fellow believers who will walk with them on this faith journey. Walk with them on this faith journey. Their enthusiasm for embracing the Byzantine Catholic faith and all that it entails in worship and praxis bodes well for the revitalization of their church. Our young adults' particular strengths of knowledge, giving, and zeal is indeed contagious. I've seen that in my older people in the parish. They've caught it. They've caught the disease of youth, which is extremely exciting for me. The older generation of parishioners has regained their youthful enthusiasm for living as Byzantine Catholics. While this time may be thought of as an era of the nuns, the people of little faith, my experience, and the experience that I've seen with so many of you here today, my experience is that in our own little Byzantine Catholic corner of the world, that's not the case. That's not the case. The nuns become the ones in union with us, celebrating, living our Byzantine Catholic faith. There's a wonderful little book called by Joseph David Honeycutt. In One Flew, and I love the book, In One Flew Over the Onion Dome. American Orthodox converts, retreads, converts. He described that there are 7 types of people who join the church. And I think that's true. I've experienced that as well. Charismatics, burnouts, Anglicans, Protestants, Roman Catholics, the unchurched. Those are the 6 that I see coming to St. Mary's right now. And thank God I don't see the 7th. He describes the 7 characteristics of some of the people that come to his church. And I thank God I don't see it in mine. That 7th characteristic is just plain old kooks. Plain old kooks, and we don't have them coming to our Byzantine church. Thank you very much, and God bless you. We have a couple, we can adjust a little bit. If there's anybody that need to make a pit stop, you can. I won't be offended. We're only going to do about 5 minutes of questions. Yes, you.
Thank you, Father, for that talk. One word why I liked it the most, and that word is James. Because James is 46 and he's a young adult, and I just turned 45.
There you go.
So I'm still in the
Hey, I consider myself a young adult.
No, seriously, I am a former nun. 15 years ago, basically became Byzantine Catholic, so I was blessed to see your parish a year ago on October 30th. We served together, and I think what you say is very important. The one thing I want to clarify or maybe add to is there's a beauty to the older people that we need in our Byzantine church, and that is stability. To be Greek Catholic during a time when the married priesthood was suppressed, and to stay faithful is what our nuns who become, converts need, right? And so that zeal is great, but we need the zeal to be stable. And so I think we can see the converts help the cradles, as it were, with that zeal, but that stability and firmness that oftentimes I see people come and go out of the church. That's a problem, and so we want to see the zeal come to the cradle Catholics, and then also stability come to the converts, because then we have multi-generational blessings, so that maybe even the children of our cradle Byzantines who aren't at liturgy anymore can say, hey, this is not just for old people, it's not just for the other generation, it's for today and here and now, for all the reasons that you explained. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, Father, what is your recommendation for leaving the church unlocked? Is it locked all the time, unlocked all the time, somewhere in between, but with emphasis on trying to catch maybe that foot traffic of people that are looking for things?
Well, one of the things that I'm in New York City. I cannot keep my church open all day long. I tried getting parishioners, and I haven't tried in a while, maybe a couple of years, but getting parishioners to come in at a set time to come to sit. But I told you that I'm going to use my A-frame thing, Father Ed is available. The goal would be to keep it, even if it can't be kept open a long period of time. And my goal, what I'm trying to do, is we'll be keeping it open from 11 to 1, lunchtime, and also from like 4 to 6, when people are coming home. I probably, compared to everybody here, probably have the greatest amount of foot traffic in front of my church than anybody. But one of the most important tools that I use to market the church, banners. Anything that people can read as they're walking by. Banners. I have people to come to church for liturgy because they see the banner. And so that's the greatest marketing tool. But really, keeping the church open, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of my Roman Catholic neighbors. It's sad though. Show you how things have changed. When I first got to New York City, there's 2 Roman Catholic churches in the neighborhood. One of them was open from the first Mass at 8 o'clock in the morning to the end of the last Mass at 6 o'clock. In 5 years, the city has become so unstable that they end up having to lock the church just because of what happens, coming in. And that's sad. That's sad. So, thank you all very much. We'll begin in 6 minutes.